celebration of humanity and the fact that it is surviving. And to make it simpler, you can arbitrarily break it down into those 8 areas, because you can then look at each of those 8 areas and say, well, that one's doing all right, that one's not so good. It helps you just think with it and deal with it and stuff like that.
I know one thing Ronald wanted to do. He wanted to bring information down to ground level, if you like, so anybody can use it. Yeah.
I wanted to ask, you say in your creed, you don't condone any study of the mind outside of a spiritual context. I can't remember, a spiritual context or something like that.
Right.
And I have to say, I have looked in. I looked into Scientology before coming to here.
Sure.
What's wrong with psychiatrists? I must say, because
we are anti-psychiatry. That is absolutely true. To the
anti-psychiatry as an industry,
yeah.
Because I have a.
What do you mean by as an industry?
Right. The history of the psychiatric industry is, to a large degree, based around dealing with the insane without a technology that can help the insane, and therefore using a technology to keep the insane quiet and out of the way.
I think that's a very outdated principle, if I'm honest. I know, back in the 50s, they put people in ice bars and locked them in rooms with no one there.
Exactly.
But I would say, modern psychiatry is very different from that.
Now, modern psychiatry is very different from that, but one of the main disagreements that we have with modern psychiatry is their reliance on drugs. And to be honest, the majority of drugging that occurs in the psychiatric industry now is just a more modern form of lobotomizing and other things like that.
It still goes on, by the way. Electric shock treatments daily in England, and prefrontal lobotomy.
How anybody can think that zapping 400 volts to a guy's brain is going to help him?
Well, for a start, they have done studies where they do run current people with Alzheimer's, and I saw an interview with a guy, and he has a plate, and he can before he had the treatment, it was an experimental treatment when he had it. But his Alzheimer's was so bad he couldn't make a cup of tea. He couldn't even eat a sandwich. But now he has this thing. He goes around, and you can see he's still a bit shaky, but he looks.
That's a little bit different to taking a child who is playing up at school and giving them ECT.
I don't think that's a recognised medical practice.
Oh yes, it is.
It's in America.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, but America's a bit.
Yeah. And that's the problem because they have all these physical handlings using quite strong drugs and electricity when there are other methods.
But you also used the word psychotherapy, and you didn't seem so aggressive towards psychotherapy.
No, because it's the drugs. It's the drugs that were.
But a lot of people who can reject the drugs. I know. I mean.
Yes, some people.
Yeah.
And I don't think the medical practice is against that. If people say, I want a drug that just lets me live my life, they will give you one.
However, I've had a friend who went in and lost, had a loss, etc., and immediately was prescribed a drug for it. When anybody with a loss is going to get upset. It's a reaction we have, and sometimes quite valid reaction. So to be given a drug and then be given drugs which have they alter the mind for wanting to lose